So can I ask you a question that I think a lot of people would like to ask an expert?
Yeah, go.
So I keep hearing from people that a lot of people like, they're not really happy with the jobs, or simply they just kind of try to switch things up. Just try to apply for multiple jobs, tens of jobs and 1,000 jobs, not thousands.
10,000.
Maybe not thousands, but like 100 jobs. They keep applying, but they don't really get any interviews. They don't get any results. They kind of feeling stuck. So what are some things to look out for when people are in that situation?
Okay, so if someone's applying to tens of jobs or 10,000 jobs, I mean, a little bit different story between the two. But I would say if you are applying to many jobs, especially if it's in a day, in a week, it's probably a sign that you're not tailoring your resume. So if you are highly tailoring your resume, you could ignore this. But it's probably a sign that you are scattershot applying. So just sending out as much as you can to as many jobs as you can. So this is, yes, the motivation issue, but the motivation stems from a clarity issue where you're not really sure where to apply. So you kind of just do everything. And I mean, a lot of my clients have gotten a job and they're like, oh, I actually don't even want this. So I think that's important as a signal. It's more of something to watch out for, reaching tens or hundreds of resumes submitted in a day or week.
So the key, I guess I'm kind of hearing is the key is if you're doing that already, like applying for a bunch of jobs, kind of slow down. And what are some questions that they can ask themselves in that process to make sure that that's what they're doing?
Am I excited about this job more than just the pay is a good question. Are there jobs that I want to apply for but don't feel qualified? This is another piece that I see very commonly where the very jobs that someone gets excited by, they don't even apply for. Or they apply for, they don't know how to translate their experience into that because there usually is a gap.
Right.
But they just don't know how to address the gap.
Right. And what would you say to people who are like, because I think that's what's happening. A lot of people are very unhappy. We're focusing more on people who are applying for a lot of jobs because they're really unhappy in their job. So they're thinking there's something better out there, etc. So I think in their head, they just want something that's better than the current situation. So therefore, it's not so much for them. It's not so much about finding an ideal job. It's just like they just want to get out of that situation. So and then the reference point is not really like the best job they could have. It's more like, I really hate this now, so I need to get out. So they'll apply for a lot of jobs because they want to get out of it. So what would you say to these people?
Well, that could be a totally fine thing to do. What I do see a lot with people is that they will apply to a different job, get the job, but a lot of the same similar issues crop up in about 6 months to a year. And a lot of these issues often stem from not having boundaries set on early in the job. Now, legitimately, there could be a work culture issue, a leadership issue. But at the same time, I've also seen people just make a few tweaks. I mean, literally just last month, I had a client and we were only working together for 2 weeks. She made a few changes in her current situation that she was totally burnt out from, and things changed like night and day. So that's just an example that the burnout can follow you because you don't have clarity on the show up in the workplace in a way that's aligned with who you are. So I would hope this for no one, but a lot of times I do see the same problems repeat when people jump ship just to get into another job.
Yeah, I guess what I'm hearing from that is, and I see this in the people that I work with as well, is sometimes, I guess it can be a combination, but sometimes the issue that they experience at work can also be attributed to the things they're doing in terms of boundary setting or all these things, which could technically follow wherever they go, right? So, but at the same time, you said think about work culture and other aspects of
Boundary
things.
setting could be understanding their strengths. I mean, there's strengths and there's competencies. A lot of people get pigeonholed in doing things that they're good at, but they don't want to keep doing it. But the new job, that's what they do because it's what they know. And so they didn't get clarity on their strengths. There's a whole host of things that can follow them into the next job when they're not very intentional.
And I guess it's interesting that's from like more of a neuroscience or behavioral science perspective. I think you talked a little bit, but it's like the idea of like sometimes applying for jobs when you're unhappy, or maybe even, I think this applies to situations where they don't actually have a job to try and look for a job. It's something about applying jobs, completing things, like kind of releases a dopamine and gets them going, right? Something feels good about it. But
especially the doers. There's some people who are just doers and they get a lot of dopamine boost from just doing. I mean, case in point. And so that can really work against you and just be a total waste of time. It is social media at the end of the day, but applying to a job is a lot like social media. You've had your hit, you just quickly apply and you feel good about it. And then you feel so drained and a lot of times demotivated because you're not going anywhere with all this time.
like for those people who are like applying for a lot of jobs, either because they're very unhappy with the current situation in the work environment that they're in, or because they maybe subconsciously, they maybe not be aware about this, apply for a lot of jobs because they feel good in that loop. What should they start doing?
What they should start doing is stop applying to jobs.
Right.
Which is easier said than done. I find that people almost have an addictive hold sometimes on the job search because they don't know what else to do. But all I can say is when I start working with people, I give them a job search ban for the first few weeks we work together typically. Personalize it to each person, but typically, job search ban. And then we start doing deeper clarity work on what their strengths are, what their core values are, what direction do they want to head in? And then once we get more clarity around that, we can start doing mini experiments on testing their clarity. You have to get a job before they know that's true for them. Usually not. So really it's getting some clarity about ourselves, testing it in the real world, taking in the learnings from those mini experiments, and then applying to the jobs. And then also like not even just applying, but working through one's network or expanding one's network have to, which is often like the last thing that people want to do. And when they do go to the job board, is it's often easier to just send that resume and cover letter off with a dopamine hit. But most people are going to get a job these days through their network, whether that's a referral or it's a recruiter or something like this. The best jobs are also not likely to go to someone who just applies. So if you actually want a decent job, something through your network, something connected to your network is important.
So kind of sum it up, what people should be doing in those situations is, well, depends on where they are, I guess, as well. Too. Some people might have clarity already, but I guess the strategy would be different depending on where you are in these phases.
Yeah,
but I guess
sometimes people straddle between phases, but usually they're primarily in one or the other.
Right. I guess what I'm hearing is stepwise is kind of like, well, first get clarity on what you really want or what's aligned with you, what you want to achieve, what you want to have in your life, etc. So that process is one. But once you test it out and then make sure that it's actually aligned with you, then you just get into the testing or the actual applying phase. And then that is really about not simply applying for jobs. I think that's a piece that I think a lot of people probably want to know about as well too. Like instead, I think you talked a little bit, but instead of simply applying for jobs, once they have clarity on what they want, what are some things they can do to increase the chance of getting the job that they know that they want?
So part of my work is training people for this. So I would say learn the ways of the 2025 as far as when this is filmed. But whatever month of whatever year it is, I'm sure something has changed from last month, like a little bit. So I would say learn what to do right now in your resume and cover letter when it pertains and tailor as much to your niche and industry, or if you're making a pivot to that one you're trying to get into, and see however you can warm up any application you send in. It's basically not worth your time to apply unless you can warm up your application through sending something directly to the hiring manager or recruiter that connected you with that, or a referral through someone you used to work with that works there. So warming up your application is a whole other thing, but when you do have clarity, you do apply, serve it hot is what I tell people. Whatever you can do to get it hot as possible.
Right. Okay, cool. I think these are really valuable. And there's a lot of information here too. So for those people who are interested in learning more about this, what would you recommend them do, or where can they go to get more information about this?
So a lot of people will find a lot of different things popping up on my channel, and I'll see if it's relevant in retrospect to link any other videos here as they come up. But this is a whole learning process. Don't be overwhelmed. It's going to take time and patience, but it's totally worth it when you wake up and you're excited about what you're going to do for the day.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.